Hello my small fat that bit family, and welcome back to Is It Worth It, the series where I get gadgets and foods and other things that are keto friendly and I review them as somebody who has been in ketosis for over 4 years. Today we are looking at Werther's sugar-free hard butter candies. So for anyone that doesn't know, Werther's are, well, I'll read their description of what they've put. Werther's original butter candies are deliciously smooth and creamy caramel sweets. Named after the little village of Werther, they are made with care, expertise and know-how passed down through generations. Now enjoy their smooth and rich caramel taste in our sugar-free butter candies. Now the ingredients with the sugar-free ones are isomalt, acesulfamate K, also known as acesulfamate potassium, butter, cream, both from milk, salt, flavouring, and soya lecithin as an emulsifier. And it says as well, and this is going to be important for later, excessive consumption may produce laxative effects. So with that being said, let's just jump straight into the pros and the cons. The pros. It doesn't use maltitol. Now, I'd actually say this is probably the most important pro because a lot of sugar-free candies use maltitol, and although maltitol is a sugar alcohol that isn't fully digested by our bodies, it has a very, very high glycemic index. For reference, the glycemic index is a scale from 0 to 100 that measures how much a food affects your blood sugars. Now, maltitol, I believe, has a higher glycemic index than sugar, like table sugar. So yes, technically it isn't fully digested by our bodies, maltitol isn't, but it still has a massive effect on some people's blood sugar. It depends on the person, as usual. But these sweets don't have maltitol in them, which makes it so much easier. Now, if you've ever had Werther's before, as in the sugar ones, honestly, between the sweetened ones and the sugar ones, you cannot tell a difference. They are so accurate to the original product, which is quite shocking because even with a lot of these sugar-free sweets, because I've tried quite a few of these hard-boiled sweets, you can taste they use sweetener and they taste a bit more artificial, but these don't. They just taste like the original product. And as they said on their own product, if you've never had them, they are really creamy and really buttery, which itself is a massive pro. They're so nice. They're a taste that I find we don't get on keto at all, and you can have them in these sweets. They do 4 different flavours that I'm aware of, and I've had 3 of them. I've had the apple one, which reminded me a little bit like apple pie and custard. It was very appley and fruity as opposed to being sour like a lot of hard-boiled apple sweets are. Then I've had the chocolate caramel one, which it wasn't artificial tasting. It actually tasted like they had used like cocoa in it, which was really nice, and that also really enhanced the caramel flavour. And then of course I've had the original ones as well, and I believe they do a coffee caramel one. Overall, where they're available, the price is like £1. You can get £1 for like a bag of 20, or as I've shown you, this is a 42-gram box that again you get about 20 in. I think this was like £1.15 or something from my local Morrison's. Technically, per 100 grams, they have like 0.5 of a carb. I'll get to what I mean by technically in a second. And the last pro is that they're a great sweet for diabetics. So the pros and the cons, the ones you can see as kind of either or, depending on who you are. The sweeteners. So what makes them technically, zero net carbs is the use of sugar alcohols, which I just spoke about with maltitol, about the glycemic index and all those sort of things. They use isomalt, and isomalt on the glycemic index is 2, and usually there's not really any complaints with isomalt and it shouldn't raise your blood sugars. But the second sweetener used is Acesulfamate K, also known as Acesulfamate potassium. And whilst it has a glycemic index of 0, there have been some lab studies to show that it does raise the insulin in rats. But as always, it really depends on the person, how your body will react to it. And the only way you can truly know what it's doing to your blood sugars is by testing them half an hour after you've had one. And the last sort of pro/con is that they can be hard to come by. Now, the reason I put this down as a pro is because the problem is when you eat a lot of foods like this, it's kind of a gateway back to, sugar. So by having less of these sort of sweet candies and things like that, things that you can buy immediately versus making them yourself, you're not promoting that encouragement of just eating rubbish all the time. But again, this is a con because you might not be able to find them locally, and therefore you're not going to try them at all. So now on to the cons. They're very Moorish, as in you have one, you want another one, you want another one, you want another one. Not great. But that leads me into what is the worst con out of all of them, and what I said earlier. Excessive consumption can lead to laxative effects because they are using sugar alcohol, and sugar alcohol is not digested by the body fully. Basically what's happening is it's acting the same sort of way dietary fibre does, and it's just going straight through you. But unlike dietary fibre that, you know, might help you down there and sort of help your bowels a little bit, these will go straight through you. So for me, I can only have 2 a day. If I have any more than 2 a day, I am clung to my toilet. It isn't lying when it says that. You will literally be water. It's like it's like turning on a tap. It's not nice at all. So that is absolutely a con, is that overconsumption will lead to laxative effect. Availability, I've put under a con today because if you're in the EU, you can get them pretty easily because they're a German company, I believe. And so, you know, you can get them from local shops. Morrison's does them, Sainsbury's does them, I believe Asda does them. You know, if a couple of shops do it, like known shops, it's likely that most of them do it. But when it comes to being outside of EU, and I'm specifically talking to my Americans here because you're my biggest demographic, you can get them, but from what I've seen from my own research, it is very difficult to know where they are. You know, I looked onto Walmart and couldn't find them, I looked onto Target and couldn't find them, but then I saw posts of people saying that they found them in their local Target. It could be location heavy. Again, I think it depends on whether your store actually stocks the normal Werthers, whether they'll stock the sugar-free ones. In that case, you might have to go online to a sort of specialist shop and buy them, which of course is going to up the price of them, because if you buy them on somewhere like Amazon, you're looking at spending $26 on something that's cost me about 60 cents to buy. And one last thing for this super short video is don't assume that because I'm saying the pros and the cons of the hard candies, I'm also talking about the sugar-free toffees that they do. Because they use maltitol, and that brings a whole different set of pros and cons to the table. So I'm talking specifically about Werther's original sugar-free hard butter candies. And with that being said, let's answer the important question. Werther's original sugar-free hard butter candies, is it worth it? They are worth trying if you are someone with a super sweet tooth or someone who just really likes hard candy. The taste is really, really pleasant and doesn't taste like it's artificial, but the biggest downside of that pleasant taste is that it is so easy to overconsume. And when I say overconsume, I only mean a couple of them. And then you are going to have a deep emotional night with your toilet, which then itself can lead to dehydration and loss of electrolytes and really just reverse a lot of positive things just because you've eaten too many. So if you do choose to try them at your own risk, and I would start with only having 1 and seeing if you can maybe have 2 a day and going from there. And take it from me, I wouldn't have over 3 a day. I have experienced the lovely excessive consumption and the laxative effects. It's not worth it at all. In reality, they're not something that's going to aid your keto journey in any way, shape or form. But in my opinion, if you're someone that's new to keto and you're struggling a lot with sweet foods and things like that, it might be worth just giving these a try and seeing if they sort of help you transition into less sweet foods, less sugars. And of course they help with the sugar withdrawal when you start keto. That's all for this video. Leave a like if you found it interesting, insightful or helpful. Subscribe if you're inclined. And if you have anything you want me to review for Is It Worth It, let me know down below and I'll see what I can do. Keep calm, keto on. Thanks for watching.